Hello there, I'm Ehud and today I'm going to be talking about Soul Eater. Now, as some of you may know, Soul Eater's manga run has recently ended, and at 113 chapters at roughly, about 40 pages every month, it was a very long run, roughly about 2.5 years. And here's the thing. This is just going to be an homage to the show, so I'll try to give spoilers to minimum. For those of you who don't know what Soul Eater is, it is both an anime and a manga that were somewhat different, both in good and bad ways. The manga stands out mostly because it was popular in the West, even though it only had a monthly release. The anime had its own original ending aside from the manga. Now, for the most part, I don't know the reasons why the anime had an ending, or reasons why it ended the way it did. I didn't follow the anime. I followed the manga. I read it, and I have to admit, it was an unbelievably well-told story. Now then, for those of you who don't know it, I'm going to summarize the story. It's the story of a young girl who is a Meister named Manga. Now, a Meister is someone who wields a weapon that harvests the souls of the evil people of the world. Her weapon partner is named Soul, who takes the form of a scythe with the red pattern, and it very much looks like a, Soul Reaper scythe. Together, they are aiming to become what is called a death scythe, rather for the weapon to evolve into a greater weapon. In fact, it's the only kind of weapon worthy of being used by Death himself. They get to become a death scythe by consuming or eating 99 evil souls and 1 witch's soul. Here's the most interesting part of the story. The weapons are actually people as well, that just can transform into weapons. Now, Soul's the cool guy, who is constantly not being cool. Now, throughout the series, they work with numerous different teams, but only really 2 teams are actually developed to roughly the same level as Manga and Soul. One is a Meister called Blackstar, an ADHD ninja who, I have to say, I like his story arc just a bit more personally than Naruto. No, I'm gonna get some fan hate for that, but I don't really care. He's loud, obnoxious, and he really does seem like an ADHD kid. His weapon can take multiple forms, such as a throwing star, a kunai with chain, and multiple other forms. The weapon's name is Tsubaki. She is a shy and reserved character, which makes it very interesting watching her deal with Blackstar, who has such a large personality. For them, it often comes down to they work together because on the most basic level, they understand each other. They want to assist each other. They are partners. Now then, the other group is Death the Kid, who literally is the son of Death himself. Best way I can explain him? He's an anal retentive heavy fighter who is obsessed with symmetry and will literally pass out if his world is out of alignment. Which is made even funnier by his hairstyle. I mean, really, look at his hair. The only thing more obviously out of symmetry would have been a map of the United States of America. That's not even funnier. He will literally stop pursuing people who are obviously evil to admire symmetry. He's partnered with twin sisters named Patty and Liz, who are also weapons, so they become twin pistols. That kid decides he's going to try to be even more awesome, or awesome to begin with, by wielding these guns upside down. Yes, that is how he holds them. How does he fire them? Really, his pinkies must be ripped. That is one of the most unused parts of the body. He must have spent years trying to get them to the level to where he could actually fire a gun with them. So back to the actual story, which is actually pretty awesome. It's followable considering how crazy these characters are. They all just go to a school where they learn how to better work together between Meisters and weapons to hunt down souls. And that's pretty much all they learn. They learn other such things as why some souls turn evil, why some souls turn good, what makes a good soul, what makes a bad soul, all that. Now if you thought the main characters were bad, they're teachers. Literally the teachers. The most crazy of all. They are taught by literally a insane Frankenstein monster who rolls around on a death chair. A dead corpse who was a Marine? I never really caught on to what he was. Death himself, of course. Maka's father. He's a death scythe, but he's just a pervert. That's all I can really say, and that's all they really developed with him. But he does want to become a good father. Is that a check in the good box? I'm not quite sure. Anyway, the entire story is pretty much just them trying to become death scythes. But I don't really think that's the main focus of the story. It's about them growing into adult versions of themselves, and taking the place of not only their mentors and parents, but also the people in the world who they have to challenge. Blackstar is constantly challenging the world's greatest swordsman, Mifune, and he's trying to become better than him. Not only because, well, Mifune is the best, but because Blackstar recognizes that he is a tangible goal. The story really needs to be more experienced rather than explained, because any simple length of the story and the way that the writer makes you feel for these people, they all have goals. But to reach them, they have to grow. And they are never satisfied with how they are right now. They're real people. And really, if you have grown into any sort of position, you'll understand that it's not just given to you. Society's positions are earned. And when you finally have achieved to them, it isn't through some grand ceremony. It's a finally acknowledgement inside yourself. And I have to admit that this is kind of what makes it sad that this story has finally ended. But also makes me happy that it had an ending, because this story is so realistic. I'm not talking about the actual story. I mean, really, any place where Lupin the Thief and Al Capone can be in the same story and Jack the Ripper is a really bad Joker ripoff. You've lost me on realism, but what I'm talking about is the growth of the characters. People growing up, we lose ourselves in the characters, who they are, what their aspirations are, even to the point of what they are becoming. And at the end of the story, you look at these characters and what they became, and you're thinking, they're the exact same as they were before. Where was the growth? How did it come about? And in that point, you realize you are like a parent watching a child grow up before you. And in so many ways, that's what makes it a touching story. And for someone who's still growing up, I can honestly tell you, I know what they're feeling. You'll never feel the task, and you want to challenge yourself and the people around you to see just how strong you really are right now. But it'll never come up to that point. You'll always feel insignificant. You always want to become not only better than what you were before, but better than what you were yesterday. Heck, I wish I could be better than what I was this morning. I even aspire to be that way. So, in short, if you really aren't a big fan of anime or manga, and I'm not even talking about if you just casually watch it, kind of avoid this. The characters and story are really crazy, but definitely give it a try at some point if you're really wanting to get into this kind of stuff. But for those of you who like anime or manga but haven't seen it yet, definitely check it out, simply because it is a rare kind of crazy that only comes about once a decade or so. I mean, really, Naruto had some crazy moments, but really, Soul Eater was crazy. They may be fighting madness, but they are all mad. It's like Alice in Wonderland if it was a manga. Get it away from me! Sorry about that. And to those of you who have seen it, but stopped for some reason, take another look. The anime is getting a reboot apparently, so that may be good. And what's even better is the manga story is done. You can look at it, you can read it, and you can actually experience it and realize just how good these characters are. Watch it not for the actual story, because that's beyond batshit crazy. Watch it instead for the characters, just how good they are, and just how well developed they become. How some of them and how we like them must continually grow up with them is why I enjoyed it. We don't grow up with them, we watch them grow up. We experience the same things, or we are going to experience them, and thus we understand just what they're going through. Why these emotions are so important, and why losing them is so tragic. And I guess that's it. Soul Eater was, and always will be, the story of youth growing up. Not just growing up, but understanding that they have a place in this world that is only just beyond their reach. And beyond that is limitless potential.